All the videos I created are basically about the same subject, about creation, about functionality of our mind, and about journey of coming out of hell in your mind, when you create that hell for yourself. And hell for yourself can be created by your wrong attitudes, wrong actions, wrong behaviors. There is no big mystery behind. It's just action and reaction. With our action, we're recording those things in our mind. When we choose wrong actions, then mind is recorded in negativity, dark stains, and those entities and energies occupying and thoughts occupying that space in the mind. So later on, you experience dysfunction, you experience mental illness, physical illness, horrible behaviors, aggression, in general ugliness, decay of your own body, mind, spirit, darkness, by all those actions you like signing pact with devil, with Satan, with that egoic mind, Maya Mara. So throughout the life we need to learn what will be in our favor, what will work for us, what not, what bring us wellness, happiness, joy, abundance, and what bring us opposite. This is indeed a very difficult lesson. Life is a very difficult lesson. To read that book called Life. And it depending how we read that book. If we read that book carefully, if we are aware of those processes, or we don't and simply think everything, we can do everything here. And also we think we got one life. Obviously we got one life in that body, but your mind and spirit never dies. Mind is like a carrier of informations when all of this is stored. But spirit is there to heal, to perceive, to observe from that place. If only you teach yourself how to do it, how to pray, how to meditate, fast, read scriptures, all those things, opening that internal space where healing can take place. And healing take place by the mercy of existence, Allah, God. That love inside we have. But there is as well timing to that, as I see. That when we gather huge amount those things inside and we cannot bear them anymore, we simply will be forced to ask for that mercy, for that forgiveness. And from that point on, that spark will be working in us. It's actually in every one of us. But to recognize that and to help that, we need to implement some practices, prayers, meditations. Because quite often we are in so dark state of mind, so much corruption is created there, that on its own way it's actually healing us. It can force everything in us. When we have mountains of those corruptions inside, then experience of life will be created for us in such a way that will be force to surrender, force like give up all of this. But sometimes there is another way to that. There is so much corruption created that despite of that healing process which may take place, despite of that God, Allah, existence want to help you, want to bring you back to wellness, to that love, because we quite often lost that love and peace and tranquility. When this is the case, we may develop depressions, anxieties, mental illnesses, bodily illnesses, all of this happening like decay inside. we have quite often mayhem inside. And this is when this mayhem going on there, then most likely then this process can kill us, because this entire mind working upside down against us, we created monster, devil, hellish devil inside. So when this machinery going upside down and invoking all those negativities, negative experiences, negative thoughts, dark thoughts, we may once not be aware of it, not see it, and twice that spark inside may not be able to deal with that at that present time. It will deal with that in next life, maybe next life, maybe next life. It have time. It slowly will be moving and grinding those, but we may not notice it because our mind is so occupied, so active with all of those mountains of those conditions, that it may take longer go and run in order those dark stains lose energy inside. Like I observing entire my life, that way from hell where I was simply angry person, dysfunctional person, had mental illnesses. I can call it in human terminology mental illnesses, mental dysfunction. That way you cannot study, that way you cannot have good life, abundance, that way you cannot think good thoughts. Basically through that process, through that internal process of prayer, meditation, worshipping God, Allah, existence, all of it is slowly improved. Your mind is like rewrited. Those things are like pacified inside, corrected in your ruh, in your heart center. Those dark stains and entities have to go through that gate inside, through that ruh, in order it to be transformed into something opposite. And trick is, they really don't want to go. They are like, seems to me to be intelligent. When God want to correct this, it will be and provoke it to come to the surface, because it is like spider which hiding somewhere in his tunnel, is very aggressive, ugly, and is hiding for its own prey. It don't want to go, so God is provoking it to come to the light, come to the surface, to lighten that darkness. But that will be not very easy, actually not easy at all moments, when you see the darkness inside of yourself, and you can see it through into eyes of another human being, but as well sometimes inside of yourself, when suddenly you become like agitated, angry, or very weak. That quite often is connected with purification, when all of this suddenly come to the surface and you cannot recognize yourself, you cannot, even others cannot recognize you. They're thinking like you are possessed. Indeed, you are possessed. There is something which occupying part of your mind, and that have to go. And in order this to go, you need to have that energy inside, you need to have that space, transparency, some love. Without love, those things cannot go. Really, love is a requirement for those things to go. But it's quite often that we neglected our temples so much that there is no love in us. Not at all. We started from that point. There is no love. So at the beginning, that way is a way through hell. When we awaken, we understood. There is no love in us. There is no peace. We're living in misery, in deprivation. We are like fallen tree, asking up, asking for help, or being taken out from that world. There's two choices. That hell going on now in the world, we see it everywhere, especially now in Ukraine. That killings, those killings, this war, what is causing? It's causing aggression, it's causing hate, it's causing deprivation. You may not be even evil person, but it's enough when you look at those things, at those tragedies, at those atrocities, at those torn apart bodies. It's leaving marks, images inside. Quite often leaving as well hate in those people, because they're hating those aggressors. But aggressors become aggressors because someone before being aggressor. So we need to understand that any form of aggression, hate, all of those, creating negativity inside, creating hostile energy inside, that like staying like stains inside. And later human being behaving this way, and he cannot understand why he behaving this way. This is like possessing him and acting on behalf of him. He is not anymore himself. He is just that entity which possessing him inside. That scary process, like person which is unconscious, is guided and directed by something else. Small trigger and he is able to hurt another human being, bomb another being, another human being. So that process of healing is to unplug yourself from that matrix, from that hellish place we are quite often inside, where we easily can get irritated, get angry, want to hurt, want to abuse, upset. It can be observed in many situations of our life when we act this way, when we are simply ugly. But prayer, prayer leads to meditation, will teach you how to observe those things inside of you. But like I said in previous movie, those things, major things on that journey of healing is done by existence. When something big coming to the surface of the mind, and you can clearly see that existence is behind, existence dealing with us in those moments. Otherwise, if we could or wanted to go on our own strength through that experience, we could, like in those horror movies, walk on the ceiling or on the walls, be twisted like those creatures in those movies. Existence knows how to deal with those things in us. Just need timing. And you need to enlarge that space and soften that space in you in order to go through those experiences successfully, to not lose your head, to not hurt somebody. And meditative state is a kind of solution to it, when you remain in that light for a longer time and can observe that. And as well, walking to places like churches, mosques, temples, because there is people pray there with congregation and there is this strong, warm, powerful field inside in those places, where it's easier to tap to that inside, easier to observe. Obviously in those places are people as well which are twisted, because everyone who's searching for God, searching for love, searching for peace, because he's twisted in some way, he understood his dysfunction inside. Majority of those people going to places like that, that's true, because they're searching for love, for abundance, for coming back to right functionality. And some of those people are successful on that journey, some of them not, because there must be time spent in that hell in order all of it subside from you. Those mountains have to be crossed somehow. That sparks slowly moving peace in you, slowly grinding them. You never know if this happened to you in your lifetime or not. You only can judge it by the feeling which appearing inside of you. Basically from no feelings, you measure yourself by the feelings which appearing in you. When you start tasting love, tasting peace, that must be good indicator that there is something on happening in you. Something is triggered, something helping you. Something want to bring you back out of that matrix hell into good life, into right functionality. Assalamu alaikum.